Hello, I am Vineet Dixit, your business consultant. The topic that we are going to discuss is very crucial for all the budding entrepreneurs and investors. Our topic is how to overcome common hurdles in our startup journey. Starting our own business venture is quite exciting, but it definitely comes with a lot of challenges. Let's dive into the subject straight away. When anyone talks of startups, one very famous quote, which is often quoted in many blogs and reading materials that I have come through, is that 90% of startups end up failing. Quite demoralizing, isn't it? To be fair, startups come with their set of risks in every stage of growth. However, the risks at the early stage of any startup is quite often talked about because they are the ones which can sink your startup even before it has started off. Let's take an in-depth look at some of the most major startup risks that young companies face and what young entrepreneurs can do and avoid these mistakes, or at the very least they can mitigate the damage they can potentially cause. Before we move forward, if the subjects of business, startups, management, marketing are of interest to you, please do subscribe the channel and keep getting the content on a regular basis. Let us go down with the list of risks that any startup faces and also some suggestion as to how to handle them. In all, we are going to talk about 7 major issues that any startup faces during the growth stage, especially towards the early growth phase. In the course of the video, I will also share with you one most important element, which is the crucial and critical element, which if taken care of, will take care of most of the other challenges that you might face. So let us get on with the video, and when this point comes in, I will definitely emphasize on the importance of this particular point. So the challenge number 1, unclear product or service goals. Having a great idea is one thing, but being able to explain how this great idea can be turned into a wonderful product or service is much easier said than done. What is your product? What problem does it solve? How can you sell it to people? If you can't give in-depth answer to these questions, don't expect to be able to sell this idea to your potential customers or investors in future. This is the first and the biggest risk that you encounter as an entrepreneur. Good news is it is totally controllable and avoidable risk. What it requires is research. Initial research is incredibly important because if done correctly, it can neutralize few of the earliest problems and risks that your startup can encounter. One of which is making sure that a market fit for your product or service exists. Let us get to the second risk, lack of market fit. As we've already mentioned, being able to establish clear goals for your product is enabled by performing thorough market research in order to determine who your potential customers are and how and why would they want to buy what you are selling. In order to avoid crushing your dreams even before you started your entrepreneurship journey, you are going to have to perform a detailed research in order to confirm a number of things, including but not limited to the following: the existence of market, the viable route to reach this market, how to build this route, how much will it cost, how much time will it take. According to surveys, 42% of all startups fail because there is no market need for their products or services. Not all ideas that look good on paper are actually good in the real world. That is why an expansive market research needs to be performed by every would-be startup or entrepreneurship journey, even before the first employee of the company is hired. Another aspect of market fit that needs to be considered is your competition in the market. Is the market already oversaturated? Is there any unexplored niche in your market which needs to be worked upon or which requires your attention? No matter how good your idea is, but if it is already saturated and crowded with multiple competitors and some of the huge ones, it is going to be hard for you to break into the market and find a place for yourself within it. Your best chance of succeeding in the crowded market is offering something that is truly different and better than what the big names are offering. If you believe your idea is just that, keep it a secret until you have launched your patents and created all your USPs, the unique selling propositions as to how your product is different from all the others available, so that your competitors won't be able to piggyback on your idea and put your plan into action. Remember, huge corporations and larger competitors already have huge amount of funds and team available to immediately work on your plan if they come to know of it. Coming to our third point, growing too quickly or slowly. PD growth is obviously what every startup entrepreneur or investor is looking towards, but this growth can also be a risk if the timing is not correct. The startup that grows too quickly can end up losing massive amount of money due to overstaffing issues around lack of market demand and certain other aspects. On the other hand, growing too slowly will give an edge to your competition. They might gain on the momentum, leave you behind, and in the process, you will lose your attractiveness to your prospective customers, to your prospective investors, or other venture capital firms. The key to healthy startup growth plan is heeding to your metrics and following the data. Make realistic financial and growth predictions based on your early growth indicators and don't set unrealistic goals, no matter how ambitious you are or your startup is or how quickly you are growing. Entrepreneurs will need to take risks if they need to see the kind of growth that their VCs expect, but the chances taken still need to be calculated. Growing too quickly or slowly can cost you money, create conflicts within your team, and decrease the quality of the service and product that you are offering. The right balance is the key here. Take decisions based on data, numbers, and not on emotions. The fourth risk, and this is more to do with the human aspect of it, it is the burnout. Early stage startups are almost always very small, which means they are usually made up of a small core team who all need to wear different hats at different points of time. Typically, seed stage startups are more prone to simply burning themselves out from being overworked or simply team members being overextended or overstressed. This is especially true for those founders who are usually so deeply invested in the vision and mission of their startups that they feel that everything will fall apart. Even if they take one day off to unwind and spend some personal time, even if they take vacation, they hardly ever fully disconnect. In a survey, 85% of founders or entrepreneurs have admitted that they worked while they were on vacation. Startup founders need to be incredibly conscious and aware of not burning out during the early stages of their growth. They further need to appreciate that being able to disconnect and come back refreshed with a new perspective can give them infinitely huge benefit and will be more helpful than working themselves in the ground. Now here is that important critical point that I was talking about at the beginning of the video. If this particular aspect goes in your favor, most of the other elements will be taken care of and situations will become far easier for you to handle. And this fifth point is lack of proper mentorship. Companies that are large and have received several rounds of VC funds have access to plenty of mentors, both in their boards and in their business ecosystems. But how can you find mentors as a young business startup? Networking is a good place to start with. Not all entrepreneurs live in startup hubs or big cities, making it harder for them to find people with whom they can talk to or have access to experienced business people who have already established large businesses. Since this access is a challenge, these startup founders mostly struggle to find good mentors for themselves who can advise them, guide them, and have a bird's eye view on their startups and the business operations. Obviously, if you know people who have experience in building successful startup and business ventures, try to establish a relationship with them. Move around in your social gatherings, get to social media, make attempts to network with such people who can mentor you, guide you, share their experience with you. Talk about your vision, your mission, your product, your ideas with prospective mentors so they can understand you and your business and advise you wherever and whenever possible. If you truly have not been able to come across anyone who could be a good mentor, or you do not know anybody who could be a prospective mentor, it can't hurt to attend small business administration meetings and network with people there. Keep networking, keep talking, keep socializing. Whether you find a mentor or you're still looking for a mentor, be socially visible on social media and physically as well. Remember, one good mentor can definitely create wonderful magic for you and your startup. The sixth challenge, not having the right team in place. Putting together a great team is what is going to determine success of your journey. Hiring people comes with their own set of challenges and risks. The quality of your team members, the character, the attitude, the competence, and many other elements that you need to be very conscious of when you look for your team members. If you're able to put together a wonderful core team, your chances of success increases significantly. The best way to manage your risk of hiring is by having proper HR and screening processes, which will ensure that you're hiring the right people. Make sure that your team is made up of people with prior experience and success. Ensure that you are very conscious and cautious about the cultural fit, the culture that you intend to create for your organization and the culture that these new hires will bring in for you. If need be, in the initial stages, instead of hiring full-time employees for your core team, you can look at taking services of consultants or outsourced CXOs for your team. This will reduce the cost of hiring and the hire and help you with expertise that is required to launch a business at highly economical costs. In the early stages of startup and its hiring process, it is important to choose team members with diverse backgrounds and diverse skill sets. It is important to look at people who can effectively do multitasking and contribute in areas that might be a bit outside their field of expertise. This brings us to our seventh risk and challenge, which is finances and funding. Whether you are a tech startup or a retail business or a restaurant, one of the biggest risks in your early stage of business is the cash flow. Many small businesses get their seed funding from families, from their own savings, from their friends, and business loans, and being bootstrapped. Being bootstrapped does not leave you with enough room to maneuver financially. This means that you have to be very diligent and precise about how you are spending the little money that you have while working with the young company. The solution to this is to have a very clear financial understanding and forecasting, and to ensure that you are budgeting effectively, making the best of whatever little you have. If possible, at this point in time of your business, it is highly advisable to have a seasoned accountant working for you. Your accountant can be tasked to keep a close eye on the finance, the cash flow movements, the P&Ls, how you are spending the money, the kind of budgets you have, the runway you are left with. And a seasoned accountant will definitely bring in experience and expertise which will be of help to you. Most startups wrongfully assume that Series A funding can take care of all their financial woes. However, even the VC funded startups can run into challenges with the financial aspect of their business. Budgeting and careful financial planning in order to determine your runway. Runway is for how long can you run your business with the amount of money that is available with you. It is very critical and important to always calculate your runway. If you're clear about the runway that is left with you, you can proactively work on the process of pitching again to the investors to secure another round of funding to support the growth of your startup and your venture. Challenges and the risk factors that we have discussed, especially at the nascent stage of the startups, are unclear product and service goals, lack of market fit, growing too quickly or slowly, burnout, lack of proper mentorship, not having right team in place, finances and funding. As we conclude today's discussion, remember that every successful entrepreneur has faced hurdles along the way. It is not about avoiding challenges, but navigating through them strategically by building solid foundation, managing finances wisely, implementing effective marketing and sales, nurturing a strong team, and staying adaptable and flexible. If you have found this information valuable, do not forget to like, share and subscribe for more insights on business, management, strategy and marketing. Until next time, this is Vineet Dixit signing off. Stay inspired, keep building.